After years of waiting, we finally have an official title to the sequel of Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. And this is an analysis of everything shown off in the most recent teaser trailer. With that said, it's time to break down the long-awaited trailer. First, we must address the elephant in the room, the fact that this teaser, similar to the 2019 one, is filled with Zonai-esque structures. Naturally, we will be going into it whenever it comes up, but I will have several videos in the description of this analysis which are centered around the mystery of this tribe, including my 85-minute documentary which will be referenced on occasions in this video. The trailer begins with a close-up of a wall mural depicting a strange-looking figure. Either this person isn't human or is wearing some sort of mask. The long ears and face give it a sort of animal-like look. User Stars Blazing on Twitter compares it to the Bloopy, and I do see some similarity with the face and long ears. We also have the Lord of the Mountain, said to be a reincarnation of a sage that died on the lands it now protects. One thing which sticks out is the fact that the eyes on this person are the same as the Sheikah design, with the 3 eyelashes. While we don't know who or what this person is, it could be the ancient hero, mostly due to what we'll see later in the footage. I also want to point out that the coloring of this stone reminds me of architecture from the Gerudo, but that's more of a minor observation. Also, this squarish swirl shape is something often seen on Breath of the Wild architecture, as well as Twilight stuff from Twilight Princess. You're gonna see a pattern here when it comes to connections to Twilight Princess specifically. The teaser then cuts to another mural, only this one depicts a battle between 2 sides. A group of soldiers, possibly Hylians, or the Zonai tribe, and a horde of monsters consisting of bokoblins and moblins. In other words, Ganondorf's army. It's likely that this stuff in the background is the Demon King's malice, its tendrils moving in the direction of Hylian forces. One thing I find very interesting about this shot is the clear imbalance of this image. The fact that this malice takes up most of the screen represents how Ganondorf's army is overpowering the humans. We even see soldiers who have already fallen to the Horde. Whatever battle this mural depicts, it was clearly in favor of the Demon King. Out of curiosity, I did check the shield designs in Breath of the Wild to see if any resembled the ones held by the soldiers, however I couldn't find any similarities. And the weapons held by the Moblins are definitely ones never seen in the first game. Not sure if we'll see them in the sequel or not. The next shot we're given is a more zoomed out version of the first clip. This figure is taking a sort of sacred pose with her hands stretched outward. These lines may be representing rays of light shining down on this person. What's by far the most interesting part are the 7, dare I say, swirl-shaped emblems surrounding the figure. The fact that there are 7 of these definitely makes you think of the 7 sages often seen in Zelda games. While Breath of the Wild doesn't have a group of 7 sages in-game, there are the 7 heroines found in the Gerudo Desert, with Gerudo symbols that translate to 7 sages. Not much is known about them aside from one quote coming from a Gerudo researcher. Something else worth noting is how, given the name of this game, you could view these 7 swirls as tears. Perhaps we'll have to collect them in each dungeon. Now, if you look closely at the bottom left corner, you'll notice some strange hieroglyphic-like symbols carved into the wall, but we have seen this language before in the 2021 E3 trailer of the game. Once again, this appears to be an entirely new language different from ones such as Gerudo and Hylian script. I'm still not sure if it's connected to the swirling green energy of the first trailer. That's going to take some more time to look into. 2 other details are this odd structure to the left of the symbols, not sure what it is, but it looked cool, as well as this bottom part. These sort of resemble mountains, which could mean that this figure is somewhere in the heavens, perhaps on one of the floating islands. So one option is that this could be yet another depiction of Hylia. Speaking of Hylia, the screen then fades into this panning shot with a figure hovering over the ground, facing upwards. The likely answer is that this is an incarnation of Zelda, but technically it could be Ganondorf. However, I want to quickly address this shot from the trailer, where you can see a person with pointed ears. In my opinion, this one is most definitely the princess, and when you look closely, those same ears are present in this figure. In fact, this pose reminds me of Skyward Sword when the Demon Lord Girahim is conducting the ceremony for Demise's revival. Perhaps this too represents a sort of ritual that's happening. And once again, I want to point out how the hair of this figure uses the same style previously mentioned. I'm not too sure what this thing is on the right of the screen though. Hey, post-production William here. You might hear me frequently interject just to add some stuff because, you know, it's an analysis and I'm just editing and I discover different things. I believe the thing on the right is actually another person. It looks like there's like the hip section and there's just the pants. So because it's some sort of ritual and it might be Zelda involved, there's a chance that maybe this is Ganondorf. I also want to quickly mention that there still is a case for this person that's floating to be Ganondorf, at least the other one that I showed, because there is like what looks like it might be a gem on the forehead, and we know that Ganondorf has that in the trailer. But yeah, just wanted to mention that. 41 seconds in, and we finally get to see Link opening up a massive door and running towards one of the strange-looking structures first seen in the 2021 trailer. However, the door itself gives us a ton of interesting information. First off, we have the twinning dragon design engraved into the front, which is clearly the same look as the ones scattered across the surface of Hyrule. This is a big deal because it's the first time we've seen this design on the Sky Ruins. While it was speculated that these ruins were made by the same tribe, there was nothing about them that resembled the architecture seen on the ground. You can also see another set of dragons on the platform Link is running towards. Now, the fact that this is a twinning design is very interesting, as twinning serpents is a common thing among several games in the series, such as the entrance to Skyward Sword's Earth Temple, Twilight architecture, even Breath of the Wild itself, as a twinning snake design is found carved into the cliff directly behind the Spring of Courage. And once again, we see more of these symbols, which at this point makes me 100% certain that it's going to be a new language which we will be able to eventually translate, which is pretty exciting. Other details include the circular patterns at the top of the door, which sort of resemble the stuff found on shrines, and the fact that the handle of this door is another Sheikah eye. It's a lot easier to see when it's not obstructed by Link. There's not much to point out in the following clip, just that we see more of the floating islands and trees. However, if you look closely at Link's left hip, he appears to be holding something. My first thought is that these are canisters holding some sort of substance. In fact, this pouch may hold up to 8 of them, given we see some empty slots where some additional vials could go. Perhaps Link's quest involves collecting these items, but what exactly are they? Well, given the fact that this game's official title is Tears of the Kingdom, it's possible that what he's collecting is tears. And this is something that past Zelda games have already done. In Twilight Princess, you gather tears of light in the Twilight Realm to restore the light spirits, while Skyward Sword has you collecting the tears of the goddess in the Silent Realm trials. And in both cases, Link is given vessels to hold said tears. It could also be somehow related to magic and the hero's abilities, and I've also seen people suggest these to be scrolls. The camera then rotates around Link, giving us a clear view at Hyrule's skies and the many floating islands found within it. First of all, we get a better look at this building, which is likely the same as this one from the 2021 teaser. Once again, this may be a dungeon. Also, a lot of these floating islands have a cone shape underneath them for some odd reason. Perhaps it has to do with the technology that makes these landmasses float. One other detail that was pointed out to me by Zeltic is this strange figure in the background. The tail looks very similar to Naedra's, so it's possible that this is Naedra flying in the background, or at least some other dragon that resembles the 3 we see in Breath of the Wild. The elemental dragons have always felt like wasted potential in the first game, so I'd be really happy if they made a comeback in the sequel. It would also solidify the theory of us, perhaps, entering the worlds that they do whenever they fly through the cloud barrier. It's funny because the way this shot is set up, I have expected Link to whistle and call out a Loftwing. Now, we don't actually see this happen in the trailer, but I do hope we get access to some sort of rideable flying mount. I mean, it would fit perfectly with the exploration of this game as it includes both the sky and surface. Right before this sequence cuts to the next shot, we can faintly see the ground, as well as a closer look at the bottom of one of the islands. It's a very bizarre shape. In the next shot, we see Link jumping onto a rock which then launches itself into the air. It's pretty clear that this is happening due to the very same time reversal mechanic shown off in the previous trailer. In both scenarios, the screen transitions to a black and whitish color, and you can even see the rock in the newest trailer catch up to its ghost images, as it's literally going back in time. This also means that the rock likely originated from one of the floating islands, so this might be how the player accesses the sky portion of the game. Looking at the background, this is clearly within the Faron region. In fact, these same structures within the water can be found in Breath of the Wild. I also want to point out this part of the shot, as you can clearly see a cave of sorts. On the way up, we get to see more floating chunks of rock, as well as what appears to be a bat sort of creature. There's also a massive cloud/thunderstorm to the left of the screen. Perhaps it's hiding a dungeon and we're tasked with figuring out how to get in there. It's rather fitting that this is located within Faron, as it's known for its frequent storms. There isn't much to dissect in the next shot, other than the fact that Link is now wearing his outfit from the 2021 teaser. However, he does have a new weapon. It looks like a more ancient version of the axe. We're given one final scene before the title reveal where Link dives onto a floating platform. It kind of looks like a bird with wings. Actually, it appears to be gliding downwards, as you can see the streaks of wind at the end of what would be considered the wings. Now, there's actually a lot to unpack here. Of course, there's Hyrule Castle floating over the Pit of Malice. That much was seen in the last teaser, but what's interesting is that Death Mountain also appears to be erupting with Malice. Prior to this trailer, the volcano's been inactive, but I wonder if there will be other locations with Malice leaking out. Perhaps one of the goals is to go to these places and quote-unquote quell the Malice. One detail covered in the last teaser was the fact that the Deku Tree was missing, so it's possible that that's another place the Malice has consumed. It's quite obvious that wherever Link is diving from, it's directly above the Ridgeland/Tabantha region, since both the strange mushroom-like plants and windmills are visible. You can even see that one shrine puzzle etched into the cliffside where you're supposed to shoot at it with a shock arrow. But there are 3 spots in particular that stick out on the ground. 2 of them being these glowy pattern things, which I have no idea what their purpose is. However, there's also this swirly green bit directly above this structure. It's very similar to the shots from the very first teaser trailer, so perhaps there's some sort of connection between the two. Finally, the trailer closes off with the official title and logo of the game. And there's a lot to discuss here. First is obviously the 2 Zonai dragons forming a circle. A lot of you on Twitter immediately connected it to the Ouroboros. This thing. A circular symbol that depicts a snake or dragon devouring its own tail, and that is used especially to represent the eternal cycle of destruction and rebirth. It's a very fitting comparison considering the fact that Zelda is all about the endless cycle of Demise's curse. Plus, it ties perfectly into Samsara, a topic we've extensively covered in past videos given all the connections the series has to Buddhism. It's very similar to the image we see on the door, except that one has a twinning or mirrored design. And then, of course, the game's title. But you probably noticed the additional shot in the background. Remember that other shot of Zelda holding the hands of another person? Well, this is that same shot, but further zoomed out. But who exactly is this figure on the left? Well, despite the fact that the logo is covering them, these lawn ears mean it's the same figure as the one in the first few shots of the teaser. The princess and hero have always had a sort of connection in these games, which is why I believe that this could be the ancient hero. But it could also be an interaction between Zelda and Hylia, given how closely connected those two are. Or it's someone completely different. I'm pretty sure the 2 swirls at the top of the mural are meant to mirror the image seen below, perhaps because both characters are wielders of different pieces of the Triforce or something. I don't know. There are many ways to interpret this. This brings us back to the title, which is a very interesting topic actually. If you don't remember, there was talk in the past of Nintendo not revealing the title because they were worried about spoilers, and I'm still confused about what these spoilers are. I might make a whole separate video on this topic, so for now I'll make a quick summary of my thoughts. If you recall earlier in this video, I suggested that the things on Link's hip were perhaps canisters meant to collect tears similar to Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. So that could be what the title of this game is referring to when it says Tears of the Kingdom. But tears also represent sorrow or sadness, which was certainly a big theme of the first game. So is it spoiling that this story will be even sadder than Breath of the Wild? And we can't forget about the 2021 teaser with that singular drop forming from the puddle and launching into the sky. Tears of the Kingdom. But this isn't necessarily referring to the kingdom on the surface, rather the Sky Islands. When you look at it that way, this drop could literally represent a tear from the kingdom above which has fallen down to the surface, almost as if the kingdom is crying. Another interpretation comes from the fact that some depictions of the Sheikah Eye include a tear, almost as if it's crying. But wait a minute, could the title actually be referring to tear, as in tearing apart? This is too much for me, my brain hurts. But I do have my own little theory regarding these spoilers. What if the spoilers aren't from the name of the game, but the logo itself? Obviously, we've already talked about the circular dragons, but there's also this bit with the Master Sword. It's obviously broken, however the rest of it has been restored with what may be the same green energy from the first trailer. In fact, it's very similar to the Twilight technology, which in itself is a huge topic I've already discussed. Again, I recommend watching my Zonai documentary since it goes further into detail. But even the strange carvings on the ground remind me of that pale greenish outline of the Interlopers technology. So perhaps they really are connected to the Zonai somehow. Either way, this journey will probably have us eventually repair the Master Sword to defeat Ganondorf once again. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. Final thoughts? I'm very happy with what we got, and of course one of the reasons is due to how much Zonai representation we got in this new trailer, but even now I'm a bit skeptical as to how much of an impact they'll have on the game, though I am very excited to see what this game is going to give us. If you have any topics you want me to cover regarding Tears of the Kingdom, then feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm sure there are many other details just waiting to be uncovered in this new teaser, so we'll just see what happens in the future. I've been NintendoBlackCrisis, and I'll see you all next time.